Greetings, Swamp Foxes. This is Troy Newham, author of 2084, The Search for Love, Hope, and Faith, available on Amazon.com. And this week's message from Moses is going to be about defunding Obamacare. Oh my God, they actually did it! And Obama felt the need to text out on Twitter. Why does the president have a Twitter account? Why do we have a Twitter president? This seems kind of arbitrary and silly and stupid that the president should have a Twitter account, but whatever. Okay, so he twitters out, "They actually did it." Really? Same line, right? Yeah, what about the Syrians? What about everything that's going on in the world? But no, he saves that tweet for Congress actually doing their job in determining budgetary matters. Okay, first of all, let's go through this as I've gone through it before. Congress has the power of the purse. They control what gets spent and when and how. Obama's argument that, well, this has nothing to do with that, it's about the debt ceiling, 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment has nothing to do with anything here. It has nothing to do with the president raising the debt arbitrarily. He can't do that. We've been through this, people. He doesn't have that power. The Constitution gives the power to raise debt with who? Congress. Right. So then we come right back to the old thing of, well, now they've defunded it. What happens now? Well, it's going to go to the Senate, and the Senate will probably not approve it. Why? Because the Senate's mostly Democrats. Okay. So what did we accomplish? Sadly, nothing past just making a statement, but I'm still proud of them for actually taking a stand and actually trying. And, you know, we have to do something about the debt. Because I cannot accept Obama's argument that cutting the rate of growth of the spending is going to destroy the economy. If we cannot even cut the increase of the deficit, then how are you ever going to dig yourself out of the hole? I mean, you've just basically admitted that we're insolvent forever and ever and ever. Alright, now let's talk about Obamacare. Everyone hates this law. Over 50% of Americans say, yep, this is going to be a bad thing here. This whole thing right here, this is going to work out bad. The only people who really seem to like it are the hardcore leftists who believe that the left can do no wrong and refuse to listen to reason. Every day there are stories about companies cutting back, you know, saying we're not going to cover spouses, saying we're going to do away with insurance and you can just go to the state exchanges, which is what they want to have happen. They want to push everyone into the state system. They're getting intrusive with the kind of questions that the doctors are going to ask you. The doctors are going to basically serve as spies, and I'm sure that your medical reports are going to wind up in the NSA, and they'll be able to tell you if you own guns, and if you smoke, and if this, and if that, and if this, and things that the government has no reason of knowing. And we're going to march blindly into it, knowing that it's going to hurt the economy, knowing that it's going to hurt business. Having to listen to Obama say, it's really helped business, it's been a boon to business, and why is that? Yeah, it's lowered their costs because they're all dropping their coverage, you dummy. Of course, he knows that, but it's all about the sell. He doesn't care. And honestly, he doesn't care about the debt debate. You know, he's saying, well, the Republicans are going forward and they're playing chicken with the economy and they're going to ruin everything and destroy everything. Well, can the same be said of you? I mean, aren't you playing chicken? Doesn't it take two people to play chicken? Because if one car just says, yeah, I'm not doing this, and he pulls off, that's no longer chicken. That's just one guy driving off. So he could very well say, look, I'll defund it for 2 more years, and if there's an election and the Democrats all win, then I guess the American people really want Obamacare. But instead he says, well, no, you're excused, but you Americans, you make me sick. You have to pay Obamacare. Because that's how, you know, Obama talks. At least in my head. That's kind of how he grows horns and Prince of Lies. Anyway. But this is the argument that he makes. And I don't think he really cares. Because to him, if the economy tanks, if the whole world crashes and burns, if America's economy goes away, that's fine. Because the system crashes. And it can enable him to have his little socialist utopia, which is what this is all about. Listen to every single economic speech he's given. Well, I've done so much to help the middle class. I've erased decades decades of unfairness in our system, and that under my rule, the rich have gotten richer, and the poor have done about the same, or done worse. What? So let me get this straight. So you help the middle class, but they're doing the same. Alright, well here's a little tidbit for you. Go back and read The Wealth of Nations. Communist Manifesto? Wealth of Nations. Much bigger book. Actually thought out. Actually has some logic behind it. Okay, so read The Wealth of Nations. Okay. Even back then, Adam Smith said your average worker basically makes enough to get by, and he doesn't save anything. He might have 1 to 2 weeks savings at best. So basically, it might be human nature that this is the way it is. And also, it's a fairly recent development in history that people actually lived long enough where they needed retirement spending and all kinds of crazy health care and blah blah blah. This is all pretty recent. But the main thing is this, that the people that you say are doing just the same as I always do. I don't know. Could it be that because their jobs don't offer any extra value? Just because a company becomes successful doesn't mean that the company is going to give the janitor a $10,000 a year raise. It might could afford to give the janitor a $10,000 a year raise. But you know why he's not going to do it? Because the janitor isn't worth an extra $10,000 a year. Because the company can go out on the street, and if the janitor says, hey, I want an extra $10,000 a year or I'm not going to sweep up, they can go out on the street and they can say, hey, we need a janitor and we're going to offer the same thing that we're paying this guy. And someone is going to step up and say, I would like that job, sir. And they will give it to him. And they will fire the guy who says, I want an extra $10,000 a year to sweep up. Why? Because that makes sense. Because that is what that job is worth. That is what they can replace the labor to do that job with. It has nothing to do with profit margins. Just because a company goes up doesn't mean everyone gets the benefit. If it did, then everyone would be all honky-dory. No one would ever start a business, because why would you start a business if you're going to make the same thing as your janitor in the business? No, you start a business to make money. Now, you treat people as fairly as possible, yes, but the concept that you're going to give everyone raises just because your company is doing fine is absolutely stupid and retarded. It makes it so that there is no capital in the system. With no capital in the system, then people don't create businesses, then people don't have jobs. This is the way this all works. You see, it's all about supply and demand, economics. Now, granted, you know, is it fair? Yeah, probably. You know, the thing is, fairness is just a matter of opinion. That's all fairness is. Anything that you argue is fair, I can make a counter-argument as it's unfair to something. And vice versa. And we can sit here and argue in our face, because fairness means nothing. Fairness just basically means, I don't like that. I mean, that's all it is, people. That's all it is. Anyway, be fair and buy my book, War Journal, in 2084, The Search for Love, Hope, and Faith. They're available on Amazon. They're great reads. Long live the Constitution. And signing off,